Hello, it's me, it's Rob, and welcome back to the next episode of the Community Park. And in today's episode, I'm going to introduce you to 3 suggestions with their 3 favorite dinosaurs. With one exception from Code, he gave me 2 favorite dinosaurs, but I asked him for the second one. And right at the beginning, you all have a brief overview in the background. I've already prepared some enclosures layouts offline and thought about where I can integrate the 3 enclosure ideas into the park. I decided here between the aviary from Jurassic and the Dimetrodon habitat from Akayo, and here is the perfect place for the habitats here. The first suggestion that I'm implementing is for Colt. He wanted his trike and the Apatosaurus as a second dinosaur. And when I was built the layout, I noticed that the habitat was once again much too big. So I asked him if he had a second favorite herbivore for me. I also asked him, is it okay for him that I used my modded Apatosaurus variant, and right, Colt was fine with this and agreed. So yeah, thank you, that isn't a problem for you, and I'm also a very big fan of the modded version. I know there will be some people who might not like the version so much, but the bigger and bulky shape of the neck and the thinner legs looks for me better, in my opinion. I'm a big fan also of the Apatosaurus in general, and so is it a nice thing for me to implement him into this project in this huge enclosure too. So, in the start right away, you can see that I then cover the open balconies from the Jurassic Park street with a rock demarcation so that the dinosaurs cannot get too close to the guest. I will also decorate the edges of the habitat with a lot of rocks and further speed build, and gradually design step by step the rest of the enclosure with the plants. I add also some rocks at the river later and add 2 little waterfalls also later again as a demarcation for the habitat. And then later I had a very spontaneous and creative idea to put a small cabin for Code, so he can be a ranger here and enjoy the farm life and watch his strikes, and so that the farm life has a much more realistic feel and style. I will also build later some stables for the prehistoric buffalo. Then I actually wanted to keep the whole enclosure relatively tropical because he wanted a Jurassic Park theme, and instead it will be relatively temperate with all the ginkgo trees and other plants, but I think in this case it is okay in the mix of the other big trees in combination. To capture the tropical theme with Jurassic Park, I built this main street with some amenities and good opportunities for a nice view into the enclosure. And I will keep the rest of the enclosure relatively open so that the dinosaurs have enough space for roaming and the guest has a relaxed view from the street into this enclosure. Alright, so enjoy the rest of the speed build and the first glamour shots of the trike and the Apatosaurus, and then we hear us later. Okay, Colt, I hope you like my version of your idea and that you are satisfied like me. I think your favorite dinosaurs have a beautiful home here, and I also like the natural design of this habitat. And everything is peaceful and relaxed built, and your only task is to remove a lot of poop from the dinosaurs as a farmer. But nobody said that a farmer's life is easy. Yeah, okay, my jokes are often not so good. Please forgive me for this bad joke. Okay, then let's move after the glamour shots to the second suggestion in some moments, and that comes from Mustafa. The third idea comes from Jurassic World Biology, and I thought that I would combine these two ideas. Of course, each favorite dinosaur from you will get its own enclosure, but when I'm planning on constructing the two ideas, I found it relatively practical to combine the idea, and you can see it later why. And the unbelievable is happened. I hit the PC with my knee and turned the PC off and lost the entire process of my recording. So unfortunately you can't see how I started anymore, and I'm using the last autosave file and will carry on from here. Sometimes it's really crazy, and I'm glad that the game automatically saves every few minutes in my settings. And so yeah, let's carry on with the speed build. Mustafa wanted a scientific facility area for the Spinosaurus, no prob, so I thought. And so I built a scientific area where this hybrid can lives inside this area and can roam around. And the neighboring enclosure in the octagon style is the third suggestion later for the Allosaurus family from Jurassic World Biology. My idea behind this is that here, basically the big hatchery of this facility, yeah, and this is the octagon enclosure done later, and so I combined this idea here. And the scientists wanted to create male and female dinosaurs and observe whether they could reproduce. Fortunately, it worked, and the Allosaurus were able to reproduce yourself and start a small family here with some nesting grounds and so on. But yeah, this is the part of the next suggestion. But back here to Mustafa's part. I want to keep the design of the science facility relatively simple and make it look like this used to be a large staff area of the park where the dinosaurs were hatched. And I have these new buildings here from the new mod from the last week. I also have the opportunity to use many cool new buildings to make this area a little bit look more like military or scientific like. And yeah, it's abandoned now, and the playground so for the Spino. And these new buildings from the airport mod are really cool and work great as a background building. The problem is that they have the lights on at night. Unfortunately, this means that the abandoned science lab theme isn't quite perfect here, but I still think the nighttime lighting setting is also pretty nice. These large buildings have no functions, they're only just for cosmetic effect here, but they can still be used to create an interesting appeal. Oh yeah, very quickly. The area has been abandoned, and the nature is reclaiming this area bit by bit. And everything is overgrown and large with grass and some other plants. There are only 2 Spinosaurus left running around here later, and luckily the scientists left the gates open so that the dinosaurs can walk to the river for drinking and find some fish in the river. But I still put a feeder in there in the rest of the area so that the 2 dinosaurs don't just hang out by the river all the time, I mean. And the hatchery is also connected to the third suggestion, so that we have the octagon enclosure later for Jurassic World Biology. And as I said, I hope you are not sad with my choice that I've connected your 2 ideas. So, this large science area only looks very big visually because of the buildings, and the buildings themselves have no function. They are purely here only for the look. And I also marked off the river with small concrete walls so that the two dinosaurs can't run away, and I also wanted to make the area by the river a little bit look more industrial-like with the water tanks and the filter system. And I think overall the area looks really cool in the end and brings a lot of variety to this large park. But enough of this, enjoy the rest of the speed build, and we hear us later. Alright, Mustafa, I hope you like my interpretation, and I think your Sinospino will find its way around here, and I still find enough for eat and drink. And I found your idea very nice and very wide, and I also like the contrast between your ideas and suggestions to the other guys. And I also like this huge contrast between yours and Cold. Suggestion is so amazing. To the one side we have a natural balanced big enclosure with little waterfalls and a nice meadow and a ranch, and here it looks so more human-like with the buildings and the straight lines and fences, and in general we have so many unique architectural pieces here in the park, natural enclosures or abandoned small stuff areas like this here. It's really fun to implement all these ideas from you guys. Thank you so much. And last but not least, we have the octagon habitat for Jurassic World biology and his Allosaurus family. He wanted a small hill in the middle with an observation gallery, and he wanted a redwood habitat in the shape of an octagon. I took the liberty of reinforcing the edges of the enclosure with concrete for the first and left one side open so that we can have a clear, beautiful view of the enclosure, so into the enclosure from the raised path. And I kept the design of the habitat simple and planted so a lot of redwoods later in the speed build, also with some standard evergreen trees or conifers. And to begin, I create a small lake. There will be also some nesting points here in the habitat. And by the way, I know that the last episode of the community part was a while ago, but as I said at the beginning, that my idea is actually to produce one episode per month. And now I have reached the point and will try to implement 3 of your ideas per month in an episode. I have to say that is quite a challenge from time to time to put 3 ideas into one video. So maybe it is possible that I only put 2 suggestions in the future in one episode. And so I still have some suggestions for the next 2 episodes. And so there will be a few great episodes coming in July and August. I also think it's nice that this project is not finished within a few weeks. And this park continues to grow over the time. It is also important to find balance for myself between the other projects that I have. But it's still really nice to keep coming back in this park, in this tropical biome, and just working creatively on the different locations. I think that's so great, and I thank you for it. And I had already prepared Jurassic World Biology's enclosure and integrated via mesh fence at the edges as a protection, as a fence. That's a part of a mod that I haven't shown you in detail yet, and I should actually be ashamed that I haven't really introduced you to this new mod. Lol. Sorry. So, you see more about this mesh fence and so on in the end of the speed build part, and now you can enjoy the process, and hear us later. So far, so good. I hope you are happy with my implementation of your idea and with the selection of the skins for the family members. The daddy Allosaurus has some orange and blue prints on the body, like the junior, and the mommy Allosaurus is more brown with a smooth pattern. We have here a few dinosaur skeletons also inside the enclosure where I placed a meat feeder in combine, and I also placed some nestings, in two places, and so we have a little highlight here. But overall the enclosure is very relaxed, decorated with the redwood and the conifers. It also stands out visually quite well from the rest of the surroundings to the neighboring enclosures with this biome theme with the vegetation. And I'm just realizing how crazy it is, how quickly the weeks and months sometimes go by, and it is almost July tomorrow. Insane. The time flies, and I will try to start building the next community park episode relatively soon. And a little teaser, in the next episode I will try to present 3 suggestions from 3 content creators who mod themselves. I would like to build a very nice habitat for the 3 great bodies, but I will still keep it relatively simple. I don't want to sit here for hours and hours at one enclosure. I want to implement the idea in a natural flow and concentrate more on the nature and the vegetation. I think I have already proven in the meantime and in my hidden project that I can handle with mods very well. But even so, I will not spend any time here on an extreme architectural masterpiece for one suggestion. This is not because I don't like the 3 bodies. The reason is I need the balance between implementation of the ideas and fun with the game. What I'm actually trying to say, I would like to implement every idea of you and hold it a little bit, keep simple, and don't want to spend too much time sitting on one enclosure and one idea. And yeah, I need the balance. I hope you can understand me. And I'm also looking forward to producing the next community park episode quickly in July and implementing the ideas. But I've also thought about releasing a shorter community park episode beforehand. I'm also working on an enclosure for myself for my favorite dinosaur, and I could show you that in a speed build, and then I'll show you what the park looks like so far. I can then show you in an overview where all your suggestions have their place here in the big park, and how it looked like, the connections between there and the guest areas. And I think that's a nice idea and a nice short stop after 4 episodes, and I think it's quite good. And then we come to the next episode with the 3 suggestions from the 3 bodies. And no, I can say I hope you enjoyed today's community park, and if you want to be a part of it here yourself, feel free to write me a comment under the video and tell me your favorite dinosaur with a theme for your enclosure, and you can suggest anything, and I try to make the best of it. And what I can say again, thank you for watching, guys. Please stay tuned for the next episode on my channel, and we see us later, and stay safe, stay healthy, and until then, bye bye.